Yeah. So we got new podcast hubs for going forward. It's no longer Bay Area and Chicago, which it was for a long time. For a few years there, pre-pandemic, and then this whole time since the pandemic. It's now LA for me, and John is back where he originally began, in Denver.
Yes, full circle. Yeah, back in the Denver area, and then Luke, you're in Tinseltown, and now you're like the LA Hollywood correspondent for
this move was necessary because we needed someone. We talked about having someone right in it, in the thick of it. Right where everything is. So if, to overhear everything, to catch Andrew Garfield outside his house and surprise him, and that's what I've just been doing over here.
We're going to get so much more good paparazzi content now. It's going to be, it's going to be great.
Yeah, we can
all the Hollywood buzz.
Yeah, we can become like E if we want. Yeah, but so being here, I'm also I'm around a lot of cool movie theaters, so I can talk about that definitely during this episode as we go by through this past year's best movies, which we're going to be talking about today. So I've definitely dove into the theater scene a good amount in LA so far, and I think the first thing to tell you is, because you've mentioned it a few times on the show, is that I went to an Alamo Draft House to see the Tragedy of Macbeth.
Nice.
I was like drinking beer and like eating like a margarita pizza, like reclined during the Tragedy of Macbeth, but nevertheless, I still, was able to see that it's a masterpiece movie. But yeah, I could see so much why you like Alamo Draft House after going, because
love it.
Yeah, like when I got in there and I walked to the hallway where the theaters are, I saw a million movie posters. I was like, holy shit, this is great. And then the theaters are really fucking nice, and the service and food is pretty good. The waiters aren't annoying during the movie or anything like that. They kind of got the system down well, which is funny because I worked at a theater for years that was trying to do that exact thing in our hometown, except our this one kind of just sucked in comparison to the Alamo Draft House.
It's on a different level.
Yeah, Alamo Draft House is great. I would definitely go back.
Yeah, and that's another perk of moving back here, is the closest one to us in the Bay Area was an hour away in San Francisco, but now there's two of them fairly close to us here. I'm excited. I'm excited to go back to Alamo Draft House too. I really like the popcorn too. They have good popcorn, and it's
nice.
In that big bowl, and they
bring endless. A big ass bowl. Yeah, the guy right next to me had a really big ass bowl of popcorn.
Yeah, just a big metal bowl of popcorn. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, nice. I'm excited you had the Alamo experience.
Yeah, you were talking about it for a while there, and then when my brother brought it up that we should go, I was like, oh my god, that's the place. Right. Yeah, they're playing the Lord of the Rings, I think, there this month at the LA Alamo Draft House, and I couldn't help but think that it'd be just a great way to watch them, because you need food in the middle of those movies, so why not?
Yeah, I guess I had a cool theater experience in Denver that I haven't had before too. I had my first Landmark theater experience, which I know you've been to Landmark plenty of times.
Been to Landmark a lot. There's one real 5-minute walk from me in Chicago, where I was living when we started podcasting together. So I've been to Landmark a lot. What'd you think?
Yeah, so this is our trade. You went to Alamo Draft House, and then I went to Landmark. Yeah, so I went to the Mayan Theater in Denver. This is before I started my new job. I was like, I gotta go I have plenty of time. I got to go check out this theater that I never went to in all the time I lived here before. I saw Licorice Pizza there, and it was a great experience because it's like this old classic theater on South Broadway here in Denver. It's like a very like old like strip of businesses and stuff, and like very Art Deco, and um yeah, and I saw Licorice Pizza there, and it was
So is that the
just a great
same one? Is it
experience.
like the Century Cinema Landmark? Is that what it is?
No, this is
Is
I
it the
don't
one
think
owned
so.
by Mark Cuban?
Yeah, it's owned by Mark Cuban and
Okay, so
Landmark
then
Theaters. Yeah. It's called the
okay.
Mayan Theater though.
But it's called so it's like a Mayan theater under the Landmark like
Yeah, so it was it was like an old theater, and then Landmark bought it.
oh okay. All right, gotcha.
So it's
Gotcha.
Landmark. It's like Landmark at Mayan Theater, or Mayan Theater at
Okay.
Landmark, something like that.
Right, yeah, that sort
Um
of thing. That's not the one I went to like when I went to Denver and like saw a movie like
no,
that area. Do you remember
I
that?
think yeah, I think that was the
A
Denver
different
Film
area?
Institute. Um
Uh okay.
which is a cool place to see a movie too. Yeah. Um, and that's in like a similar like area where there's like a lot of like older stuff too. But yeah,
So that
yeah.
sounds
So
cool though. It's like a vintage it's like an even more vintage feel probably than a regular landmark.
yeah, it was super old, like old theater. Like I definitely think that it was probably back in the day, like they had plays and musicals there, and there's like a cool
Nice.
bar upstairs, and it's very like Mayan like themed and stuff. So yeah, yeah, that was my cool theater experience.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, I like landmarks a lot and yeah, that's cool. All right, so I guess we should get into
Yeah,
like
let's.
today's topic, which is us finally getting to 2021 movies.
Mhm.
Um, and I'd say I spent most of this month kind of working on this because I've just every other day at least I've been watching something from 2021
Mhm.
just to try to get into it. And I think like last year we maybe only like each watched like in the 30s range, you know,
Yeah, I
of
didn't get a
movies.
lot of 2020
Didn't
movies. Well,
really
there
get it.
weren't a
Yeah,
lot.
didn't get too
Yeah.
into it last year. So I feel like this year we're back in a way of like, that we've seen a lot of the things. Like we haven't seen
Yes.
everything for sure, but we've seen most of the stuff that you're supposed to have seen. So
Hmm. Yeah, and everything came out like, well, a lot of stuff came out just in the past like 2 months, the last 2 months of the year. So January has just been a lot of like catching up because not hardly anything's coming out now. So yeah, it's I think it's good that we took the month of January to catch up to everything.
right.
Because yeah, there's for sure a few things that I still want to see, but I good about feel content with everything that I've seen so far.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. And we decided to do top 20. Um Seems like a good number. It's not too much, but it's like you still get a good amount of movies and you're the goal's to try not to leave too much off. Um but also not make the episode too fucking long as well. So what I feel next episode will be the worst movies because that is always a fun thing to do is talk
Hmm.
about all the ridiculous things you saw in the past year. I think to start off though, I want to like at least like rattle off honorable mentions to get that out of the way first, so that we um end with the very best movies, that sort of thing. And
Hmm.
yeah, because there's probably like a lot. There's a lot of movies that I liked that I'm not going to be mentioning. So just probably do that real. I say we should both get those off our chest real quick.
Hmm. Okay, I'll go over some of my honorable mentions. Uh, First one I'll bring up. I'm gonna bring it up, although I didn't love it, but I think it's worth watching. Mainly just because it's Edgar Wright, but it's Last Night in Soho, and I I really didn't love it, and it's honestly probably my least favorite Edgar Wright movie. But when I really think about it, I think it was like an interesting movie, and it was interesting what he was trying to do. But it really it lost me, and it got a little overwhelming at times. I think I may have talked about this before, but it was like very chaotic in like a uncomfortable way that wasn't like pleasing. Like I was in the theater and like kind of getting like tense and like upset. Like I didn't want it to keep happening because it was just going a little too much. And it was just like there's like a lot of noise sensitivity that I had too. But with that being said, I think it's like worth seeing because it's Edgar Wright and he's doing something, different, a little bit different. But yeah, that's one. Another one that didn't make my top 20 is Pig, the Nicolas Cage
Oh.
movie. That one I did like. The last one I would say is the last one I'll say is House of Gucci, which I know you and Brendan talked about a little bit on our last episode.
That's also on my honorable mentions. It just
it's a good transition then. Yeah.
It just didn't make it.
Yeah. It's 21 for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one I think
it's like
is
23 for me.
I think you got to see it though. It's
yeah.
It's really
there's
long,
some people
but
though I've met that really, really hated it.
Really? Wow.
Like a couple people, I've heard a couple people just like say some real negative things, and I just like was like, really? Well, I was like, why? Like I kind of get it, but I don't get that deep level of like hate necessarily. I don't take that movie seriously at all.
No,
like whatsoever. So
that's what I
maybe
enjoyed
that
about
has
it was
something to
that
do with
it
it.
was a little ridiculous.
It's ridiculous as fuck, obviously. Yeah, but that's the type of shit I like, and it's big Hollywood, and it's well made, and it just like flexes with its cast and costumes and its stupid accents, and like fucking Al Pacino, is so awesome in it. So yeah, man, I don't care like if the story totally works or makes sense that much.
No, that's not why you go see it. It's
that's not why you see House of Gucci.
Yeah, everyone brought their A game for the shitty Italian accents. That was that alone is worth the price of admission. So yeah, that's my last honorable mention.
Okay, so I've got a few as well. I guess most recently I saw Nightmare Alley just before this. Yeah, I saw it at like AMC Burbank at the Dolby Theater. This giant ass like Dolby digital cinema theater. It was pretty awesome. And there's only like 5 other people in the theater, and it was huge.
Nice.
Did you see Nightmare Alley?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was good. It was kind of long, and I don't think it totally achieved what it was trying to do fully, but I still liked how I don't know, the cast is so good, and there's like it really looks visually great. Like my version, was yours in black and white?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so mine was in black and white, and I know they're not doing all of them are doing that. So I saw the one that's in black and white.
Weird.
And I think it's like Guillermo del Toro is like doing that to just promote a different just like a different take on the movie. Like he thinks it should be seen in black and white. And I think having seen it in black and white, it made me realize even more so all the like classic Hollywood inspiration that this film is taking. So I really liked that aspect of it. It definitely drags a little bit for me, Nightmare Alley, but like I still liked it. And it just, it didn't, it definitely didn't make the top 20. I have it at like number 31. Not to say that a bunch of people, that people still shouldn't see it, because there's a lot of good stuff in it.
Yeah, it's on my list, so I'll definitely get to it. But I also agree it's not higher up on my list because of the spots where it dragged in. It is just like long, like House of Gucci. It's just unnecessarily long at parts. But
Right.
yeah, I liked Nightmare Alley too. Yeah.
Okay, so that, and then um another one to mention would be No Sudden Move, Steven Soderbergh's movie that we both like.
Hmm.
That just didn't make it, mainly
Yeah.
because of a few movies I watched in the past couple of days that are among some of the most well-regarded movies of the year. So that's kind of why. Um, Another one would be a movie I watched yesterday called Passing. It's a movie with Tessa Thompson and Andre Holland and Alexander Skarsgård, about kind of just being an African American family in like the 20s. So it's like a period piece. It's also in black and white, and it takes place in the 20s, and it's a lot about race and integration, the complications with that, and that is very good, and it's has a also very very prophetic ending, and is a great script and is visually amazing. Just didn't make the top
Didn't make the
20.
cut.
Yeah, didn't make the cut.
Wasn't profound enough for you.
Yeah, it's kind of what I'm saying. um, Another two that didn't make the cut are documentaries, and one, and I'm pretty sure one of these is going to be on yours, so it'll be brought up again. But one is Roadrunner, the Bourdain documentary, which I
Hmm.
really loved. It's just, once again, it wasn't profound enough. And it's kind of shitty to say that about like both of these, because they are very deeply profound. The other one is the Val Kilmer documentary.
Mm.
Um, which, like the Bourdain one, is very profound and very emotionally captivating. The Val Kilmer documentary is really good. I don't like it as much as the. I'm a more Bourdain guy than a Val guy, but I'm also a Val guy. Um, Val's has a different type of kind of sadness to it, just because unlike Bourdain, Bourdain has the suicide more so, and Val has
Hmm.
his like disease,
Yeah.
so it's sad differently because of that.
But he just didn't have enough disease for you to make the top 20.
Oh fuck yeah.
He wasn't sick enough.
Yeah. So
But
yeah,
nice. Yeah.
they didn't make the cut.
I'm hoping
But
to watch the Val documentary sometime too. So
it's very good. And also there's a couple things I want to mention too. Because they're just not really good things from the past year that I watched. They're just not on the list because I don't consider them feature films, I guess.
mhm.
Um, the first one I know you also watched. I watched the Beatles, Peter Jackson, Get Back, like right when I got out to LA, and I was like
Mhm.
applying to jobs and like doing stuff like that. I just turned on the Beatles documentary. I watched it all in like a few days, and damn, is that thing for sure one of my favorite things I've watched this year.
That is like bar none my favorite thing that I've watched this year. Like we were just like obsessed with it, and like that's literally all I wanted to talk to anyone about after I saw it. But yeah, the Beatles. I can't recommend the Beatles documentary Get Back enough. I'm so glad you watched it too. I feel like it's like perfect Cinebums thing. Like it's well, first of all, we love a good music doc, I think, and
Yeah,
it's also like just sort of letting things, like just watching things as they happen. It's not like a bunch of talking heads in interviews for a documentary or whatever. It's
yeah,
just
it's like
like
a very plotless,
immersive,
like,
plotless,
yeah,
slow moving. Yeah.
yeah, hangout documentary. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really amazing. It's really something else.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
and I feel like the length also makes it like as good as it is, because you need to like immerse yourself in this and
yeah.
just see everything you can. And um, yeah, I've also just been listening to Beatles music nonstop since I watched this, because
Dude,
it
yeah.
really changed my perspective on the Beatles for sure. It's not that I didn't think that the Beatles weren't amazing before this, but now I just think they're even more amazing. And also like just the like now having like that lens of their different personalities and how they all kind of functioned in the band, and also like the sense of humor that they have and their kind of
Yeah.
whole attitude towards everything. It really just kind of like I caught the Beatles mania like really like I'm like
Right.
as late as you could be to having the Beatles fever, but I really caught it when I was watching it. I was like
Yeah.
so just in awe of all of these guys and how awesome they all are.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in a Baptist church right now, and you're giving a sermon, and I'm just like, Amen. Like I'm just like I'm eating it up. Yeah,
Yeah,
everything
like
you said is exactly how I felt too. Yeah,
and they played all the same like because they played that same they're recording that same album, so you just kind of hear the same numbers over and over again, and it like doesn't get old. Like the amount of times you saw Paul McCartney start singing "Let It Be" and you're like, oh yes, and
it's
or
getting
them
there. It's
singing.
getting there.
Yeah. They're really they really fine
Keep
tuned it
going.
this
Yes.
time. Yeah, but it all sounded the same to me. It all just sounded really good.
Yeah.
Um, and then they always don't they always sing like "I'm on my way home." They always sing that
Yeah. Two
song.
of us. Yeah.
We're on our way home. Yeah, that like I mean, there's no way that Beatles album now is not going to be my favorite just because of my experience with this documentary. Um,
Mm,
and it really does just show them like at just another peak of like like it makes sense both that they like split up after this because they are all too good to be together, but it also like
yeah.
they've been recording together so long, so they're also just so great because of that. uh
Yeah. Like they're so great because yeah, they were all like working together and making each other better. But yeah, I mean, everything you said is exactly what like it was like discovering the Beatles for the first time. And yeah, I felt like for the past like month and a half, I felt like those girls at JFK when the Beatles landed in New York. Yeah, I don't know, just seeing like these like geniuses just sort of like live and be and like create something together was like uh
yeah,
yeah, it was amazing.
I will. I'll also say that like I've been listening to a lot of Beatles because it really works for driving around LA. Like the
Mm,
Beatles like is
I
very.
bet,
I
yeah.
mean, a lot of music works for driving around LA. I found like almost everything, but like classic rock, specifically the Beatles. Um, and my like relationship, I think it might have something to do with my like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood being so much in my head, and those scenes of Brad Pitt driving to 60s music might have something to do with
Yeah,
it. But I've just found the Beatles works really well for driving around LA. So I've been doing it a lot since I watched this.
man, I bet. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Not everyone has watched it because it's so long, and I feel like
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe it's not everyone's thing as much, but it's definitely our thing. Definitely something I was like immediately like, okay, this is godly. I can tell. Like I'm
Yeah.
gonna be obsessed with this. Like, yeah,
Yeah, and Peter Jackson even said that like the original cut that they narrowed it down to 18 hours, and he was like, how the hell do we cut anything like out of this? And I was like, I would totally watch all 18 hours of that if they released that, like without a
yeah.
doubt.
I just wanted it more of it, and yeah, I just wanted
Yeah.
more of it.
And now I will also say on Sunday, I'm going to see the Beatles rooftop concert in IMAX
Oh yeah,
at the AMC around here.
yeah. I
So
heard they
yeah,
were doing that. Nice.
yeah. So I'm still trying to get all of that as much as I can out of that documentary. 'Cause, yeah,
Yeah, like remember who is that like keyboardist that they brought in at that one point?
Billy Preston. Yeah,
Yeah, remember when he came in and he's just like you could tell he's just like having the time of his life just to be
yeah,
jamming with the Beatles. Like he was like, this is the best gig I've ever had. Like, these guys are incredible. Yeah, I guess there's tension too, but it's also like not the tension you'd really expect. It's like their version of tension. It's like rock star, like laid back, like we don't have to really like worry about anything type tension, you know? Like I feel like they're usually occasionally they'll just blatantly say like John Lennon will be like, I don't even know if we should do another gig, really. It's just like that, you know, like
Yeah. Or like George is like, why are we going on the roof? I don't want to go on the roof. Why do we go? And then
yeah,
Ringo's like,
yeah.
I'd like to go on the roof. Yeah, like it's
Right, yeah. It's like that, yeah, I guess for them that maybe is bad, but like I don't know, it didn't seem as serious to me as like
I
uh
mean, I think the serious stuff was on like the first part when they were at the one studio, because like that's when George walked out.
oh
and
yeah.
and there's some like little moments, like it's not, I think the thing that this does better than, I haven't seen the Let It Be movie that came out in the 70s whatever, but apparently that one was very like cynical, and there's a lot of like tense moments, where this one shows them like in like better moods and like playing music together and like smiling
Yeah.
and having a good time. But then there's like just like the little moments where you can see like the human side of it, where like John is sort of criticizing Paul for how he like talks to George, um and you know, obviously like George, there's that moment where George is getting like really like insecure and upset by Paul, like trying to like tell him what to do. And so it's really like those like for those parts in like the or those moments in the first part. um but then yeah, what's great about it then is just like uh yeah, these guys just working towards this thing, and then like the final rooftop concert, it's just, yeah, it's just like
Yeah, they
uh
got all those big coats on and
yeah. And the cops come, and that moment like that when Paul like turns around and he sees the cops right there, and he just like goes woo like into his mic, it's like, yeah, oh yeah, it just made me feel like alive, like it was so yeah, it was yeah, I could talk about it forever, so I'll just like never stop talking about it if we don't switch gears, I guess.
we don't move on somehow.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing I wanted to bring up after that is one of the best things I watched this year, and but also isn't a feature film, would be a show you've probably heard about. I don't know if you've seen, but it's The White Lotus on HBO Max. It's
Haven't
this,
seen but have heard about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was written by Mike White, who I'm a big fan of, and it's kind of, I don't know, kind of like I think he at this point like the thing he'll be known for, because it's really like it's been really well received and it is really great. Um, yeah, it's about like all these kind of rich white people that go to this resort in Hawaii. And so kind of like a Sandler movie, except it's kind of takes this very extremely satirical view of like one of these very high end like private resorts, like one of these resorts where you got to like take a boat to go because it's on its like own island in Hawaii or something like that. And it not only like uh, is there a bunch of character dynamics with all like the rich folks, but also with the hotel staff who are like the main hotel manager is like losing his mind and like just from the stress of the job of having to serve all these people, and stuff like, and there's a lot of, you know, they're just like showing the differences, like it really points a picture on like white privilege and all that stuff, and kind of makes it like really just makes it really funny. It like shows different a lot of different sides and layers to like ignorance and family dynamic and what that comes with and all that stuff. It's really great. I'm gonna rattle off some of the cast here in a second because it's a pretty substantial cast. But one would be like Jennifer Coolidge is in it. She's really funny in it. Um, Jennifer Coolidge.
When the show came out, I remember seeing a ton of stuff about her on Twitter. Just yeah, people like loved her character. I could tell from
she's
just
really
the
funny
hype.
in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then Connie Britton is in it from Friday Night Lights, most notably. Alex Daddario is in it. Jake Lacey from The Office and other TV
Oh
shows,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
He's
He
like
specifically.
the other Jim or whatever.
Yeah, he
Like
is.
yeah.
In this, he specifically plays like a rich douche, which is really, and he's really good at it, and which is just not who he is in like The Office or the other stuff at all. He's usually
Mm-hmm.
like a very nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
So that was cool to see. Sydney Sweeney from Euphoria is in this. She is great. Steve Zahn is great in this too. Yeah, it's. I think you'd really like it. It
Cool.
was like kind of like in the Beatles documentary sense. It was one of those things that I wish didn't end. But it's also just it's fucking hilarious and also just is really profound at the same time and also very relatable for just people who come from a nice suburb and can relate to some of this stuff. Yeah, really good. And they're also coming out with a new season next year, which is going to have Aubrey Plaza and Michael Imperioli.
Oh wow.
And
Dang.
knowing how those actors are, I can't wait for them to be in this because I just know they'll be great at playing like just rich snobs because that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what this show is kind of giving like all these actors a vehicle for is just to kind of play like ignorant, snobby, like upper class folks.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. I definitely want to check it out. I remember like definitely being interested in seeing it, but then I feel like there's so many shows that come out that
Yeah,
it just got
you
lost for
get
me that
lost in the the
yeah.
sea of content. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up though, because then yeah, that'll push me to watch it more.
Yeah, you should watch it. I watched it really quickly and yeah, one of my favorite things I watched this year. So I had to bring that up because we will not be talking about that on the list.
Very true. We will not be. Well, is that all our
That's enough of
honorable
that's enough of
mentions?
the that's the honorable mention
Oh
podcast. Now
man.
let's start
Yeah.
the list, the top 20 movies podcast.
All right. Well, I'll start with my number 20, which I actually just this is the most recent one that I've watched, and it's The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which is now on HBO, which is great because now anyone can watch it if they have HBO. But Eyes of Tammy Faye is a Michael Showalter movie, who he's done The Big Sick and I think Wet Hot American Summer too. Um,
Oh,
yeah, he
nice.
and this is very much like it's a comedic biopic, but it's also very like serious. But because of the person that Tammy Faye Baker was, if you don't know who she was married to Jim Baker, the televangelist who's still around spreading misinformation about COVID to this day. But yeah, Tammy Faye was his wife who was different in this televangelism world because she was a huge supporter of gay rights and she was a big advocate for AIDS awareness back in the 80s and 70s and 80s. And yeah, so this kind of shines a light on her and Jim Baker's marriage and how she was manipulated by him for so long and sort of taken advantage of and controlled, but she still stuck to her guns and was a really like well liked person for like the good stuff that she did. And like I don't know a ton about her whole story, and I don't want to completely put her on a pedestal, but the fact that she went on like RuPaul and she did a ton of stuff until she died in like 2007, advocating for gay rights and everything as this person heavily involved in the and just like the Christian media. That in itself is like a great thing. So I thought this movie's gotten like mixed reviews. I really liked it though. I thought it started out, I thought it was going to be a little bit too like oversimplified, like Christians, like, oh, this is what Christians are like or whatever all the time. But no, it definitely was just, showing more of just the sort of the controlling environment that she was in, and she's still sort of stuck to her guns, and like was a very very like positive and warm, like compassionate person, despite everything like around her. But yeah, I thought Jessica Chastain was great. Apparently this was like a passion project for her because she loved Tammy Faye. And yeah, I thought she was great. And there's a lot of funny moments because her and Andrew Garfield, who played Jim Baker, are just like ridiculous at times. But I think it's like those moments are pretty funny. So yeah, I recommend.
Those two are two of my
movie.
favorites at the moment. And then Michael Showalter. So when I saw that, I was alone. I was like, oh wow, I need to see this soon. And it just hit Netflix like this week, or
just at HBO this week, I think. Yeah.
Oh, HBO. Okay.
HBO Max.
All right, nice. Number 20.
Number 20.
All right, my number 20 is Nobody.
Hey, all right.
Yep. At one point, this was easily my favorite movie of the year. And I think I was like back in June or something, or July.
This came out really early in the year, so that would make sense.
Yeah, and I was totally like okay with that too. I remember at the time being like, oh my God, like this movie's so great. Like if this ends up being my number one for the year, I'm fine with that. I mean, it's not really that realistic for it to be like, I don't know, your number one movie maybe, but like I'm more so like I'm being like a real nerd about just how much I like all the people that are in this movie, and that it's funny and gritty, and like the action scenes are all like as much as you want to be, like, you know what I mean? Like when you're like when you're watching like John Wick or something like that, and you just love how it's all real stunts, and it's all like they're just going for it in every action sequence. That's what this was. And it was even more fun and goofy than a John Wick would be. So just for that, like I love action movies. So just the fact that this is the best action movie of the year, probably. I'm gonna look at my list now as I say that, but I'm pretty sure this is the best action movie of the year. So actually, no, it's not.
No, I know that it's that. I know there's something else on your list that's
never mind.
Higher.
It's not, but it's one of them. It's a very good one.
Yeah. Man, Nobody was way more like brutal and intense than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was like a straight up comedy with like like an action comedy, but it was way more intense.
Yeah, just like that first scene on the bus,
Yeah.
And he's not like quite a John Wick where like he just immediately like he like takes someone out immediately. Like he kind of like he's more of a methodical killer. So you like see all the things he does. Like he needs to kind of like he has to work for it a little more, but he still easily like kills everybody he wants,
Yeah, it's not as just like clean and like flawless as John Wick can
like
be
it
sometimes.
Gets like, yeah.
But yeah. Nobody's also, it's on my list coming up, but yeah, pretty much I'm with you on everything there. It was also at the top of my list for a little bit because it was like one of the only things I had seen.
It was the only movie I've seen.
It was pretty much, I think, the first 2021 movie I saw. So yeah, it also had a little bit of time at the top of my list, but yeah, nice. All right. On to number 19. Mine, I think this one, if it's not on your list, I know at least you saw it. The Power of the Dog. That's
that one is
19.
coming up on my list.
Yeah, I won't say too much about it because I don't remember a whole lot from it.
I won't either, but it's actually decently high on my list, but I'm not going to say a lot about it either.
I know this one like surprised me with how much I liked it too. I thought it's gonna be like a solid modern Western with Jesse Plemons, Kirsten Dunst, and Cumberbatch. But I thought there's a lot of masculinity themes within it. A very like straightforward story about toxic masculinity and yeah, Jesse Plemons and Kirsten Dunst, love seeing that power couple together too. So Jesse Plemons, he's pretty much one of those guys that you've got to see whatever he does nowadays too. So yeah, I really liked Power of the Dog. I probably won't watch it again, I guess, but I think it was a really well-made movie, and yeah,
Nice.
that's about it. Yeah.
I'll save my piece for later because it's coming.
Mhm.
It's coming back around eventually. But my number 19 is in your honorable mentions. It is Pig with Nick
Pig.
Cage, which I just watched this week. And I thought it was really good, really unique. It was kind of like just the fact that there's all this like food culture along with like it's like really food cultured and outdoorsy. I
Hmm.
expected it to be outdoorsy. I did not expect it to be as food cultured as it was. It is very food cultured. It's almost
Yeah.
like a ratatouille meets like I don't know, some movie where a guy's in the woods or something like that. But that's kind of what it ended up being, a little ratatouille like. Um,
Yeah,
and
that's true.
just one of those anti-industry movies, and very just very much makes you want to go hide out in the hills somewhere and just get away from
Yeah.
all the crap.
And just get a truffle hunting pig. Yeah. Seems like a nice life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until it
Yeah,
gets
one of those
stolen.
that like kind of made me tear up out of like, you're like, "Oh my God, they can't do anything to the animal, not the animal."
Yeah.
It
Hmm.
really tugs on you in that way. But yeah, like I think Nick Cage, what he does nowadays is obviously questionable because he does anything he just wants to it seems like he wants to do the craziest shit all the time,
Hmm.
and I felt like this was a very functional thing that he did, and so thought it was cool, and I thought he definitely pulled off the role as well.
Right. Well,
That's it.
my next one I know is on your list somewhere. It's Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar. And
Yeah, that's gonna be coming up too.
yeah, this is maybe this may have been the best comedy of the year.
Checking it out. Actually,
Gotta
no,
peruse my
not at
list.
all.
Yeah. Wait,
In
no,
fact,
it was one of the worst.
it's one of the
Yeah.
worst comedies.
Actually, no, it kind of sucked. Yeah. Everything ahead of it is way better. But no, yeah, Barb and Star, I was pleasantly surprised with. I honestly thought that it wasn't gonna be good, and but I really wanted to watch it just because it looks goofy and it's Kristen Wiig. And yeah, no, I really had a good time with Barb and Star, and I am very welcome to any more Barb and Star universe movies. Um, I love
A
the
lot you can
quirkiness
do.
of it. Yeah, there's so much you can do with these characters. That I would 100% see any other movie they would make.
Kristen Wiig plays the villain
Yes,
also.
that's it.
She,
She's like a very
yeah,
over the top villain, which is funny.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
hilarious. Yeah,
I think it's great that they for sure went all out, and they
yeah,
it didn't seem like they cared whether or not people thought it was like the best movie ever. They just wanted to make something that they liked and was just goofy and weird. And yeah,
yep. It's coming up later. I'll
I'm
talk
sure
about
you'll
it
have
more
more.
there.
Yeah.
Okay. My number 18 is the best, I would say, the best action movie of the year. It is
Wow.
Bond. Bond, No Time to Die, which
Oh.
we talked about a lot during our horror episode.
I don't even remember that. I'm sure we did though. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it a lot during the horror episode. Um, yeah, I thought I've if this ever comes up around people about the new Bond, I always am ready to rave about Bond. Like I don't think
Mhm.
they like it's a perfect film. Like I don't think they necessarily earn killing Bond necessarily.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm with you there. Yeah.
but I didn't care either, you know? Like who
Hmm.
cares? Like if they're not bringing Craig back, like fine, they can kill Bond, you know?
Yeah,
They kind of Dark Knight Rises Bond though necessarily. They make him
good good
like a
connection.
sacrificial like they like a symbol or something of that he's did everything for humanity, that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Because I was thinking that that was maybe a plot hole too, is that he didn't necessarily have to die, but he was just like, oh, what, fuck it, I'll just die. Why don't I just die? Is that cool? I'll just die. Like it was
Oh, like he could have gotten off that area.
yeah, I can't remember exactly what, but I thought
I
it
feel
just seemed
like he
like
was pretty like isolated though. Like he was
but
on like this.
but the thing is, didn't they like were launching those rockets,
Yeah,
but they didn't have to launch those rockets until they got him back, right? Or was there something
I don't know.
there's something
I
there's
thought it
some
was like he
time
had to
limit.
launch the rockets there. So I think there was a time limit. That's definitely the feel of the last
Yeah.
scene.
Maybe I'm just misremembering it.
And I
And
think
this is
he stayed to do something that was necessary in order for like them to destroy whatever. I don't know.
yeah.
I don't remember.
I thought I went away with some sort of plot hole. I'll have to watch again. But at the end of the day, this is also higher up on my list, and I love this movie too. So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, whenever it comes up, I just rave about all the action scenes and how awesome it all is. And like
beautiful looking
I've
movie too.
it's an incredible looking movie,
Yeah.
as are all of the Daniel Craig Bonds.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like I've gone back and watched like just like press tours like from way back, like when like Ana de Armas was on Fallon, or like when Craig was on Fallon, and like they'll show scenes from the movie, and like the scene where like the car like spins around and shoots everyone when him and Ana de Armas are in the car, and Jimmy Fallon is just like come on, what else do
Come
you need
on.
from a movie? And then it's
Yeah.
like, and I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, like it is amazing. Like that's an incredible looking movie. And like Ana de Armas's like scene is just so awesome in the middle there. She's just
Oh
so
yeah.
great there. She was like, I feel like maybe from like a pop culture like you know, like if there was like a pop culture Oscars, like what actor like what was the most highlighted just like person in a movie this year? I feel like Ana de Armas would be up there because just the amount of
Yeah.
like the amount of like hype and clout that is around Ana de Armas and No Time to Die is nuts.
She had such a short like spot in that movie, and it was just one of the best scenes overall. And
Yeah.
one of my only like the cons of the movie is, besides the insane plot hole at the end, but that I can't even come up with, is that she wasn't like in it more. Like that whole segment just was so short, and I thought she was going to be in it more, but even so, even like this short amount of time that it was, I like
Yeah, it
that was
felt
one
like
of the
the movie
best scenes
turned
in.
kicked up gear a little bit, and I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
this movie already is pretty damn good for me, and all of a sudden, yeah, it's yeah,
Well, my next one is my number 17 is Nobody. Um,
nice.
and I don't have anything more to add, so we can move on
All
to
right,
your number 17.
all right. My number 17 is maybe one of my favorite movie theater experiences of the year, and it actually
Mm.
kind of rejuvenated my like just my passion for going to the movies, like because I hadn't been going for a while, and then I saw this in the theater, and then like when I immediately started going to the movies again a lot, and that was The Last Duel.
Hmm.
um I think I might have mentioned it once to you, but yeah, like I just had such a fun time seeing The Last Duel in the movies, and especially since I didn't know anything about it, and like what it was going to be at all. I didn't even think it was necessarily going to be good, because just the like when I saw like online what it was, I'm like, oh, it's Matt Damon and Adam Driver in this medieval movie. Like I'm like, sounds like some like a gentrified movie, another like gentrified movie with Matt Damon, even though it's not, because like
Yeah.
he's white, he can play a knight,
Yeah. It's
like.
in France.
But
Yeah.
I just assumed it was going to be like maybe not good, but it ended up being not only like it was not only really good, but it was also like goofy and played on the whole like idea of that, like it is ridiculous that all these guys are doing the medieval thing, and I felt like
Yeah.
the theater I was in specifically was very aware of that. So whenever like Ben Affleck was there as and like speaking as a king, or like Matt Damon would be doing his thing, his like accent, like everyone was just like laughing at like that they were like it's not that they were doing it badly, it's just like it is like absurd what they're like how committed they were to the medieval
Yeah.
in this. Like it's like the two dudes from Boston, that
Yeah.
like the way these guys got started.
So the last duel is my number 16. So we're getting killing two birds with one stone here. But I once I saw the trailer and I just saw Matt Damon and Ben Affleck and how they looked, I was like, this movie is gonna be so stupid, but it's gonna be so funny. And I was wrong on the stupid part, because yeah, I thought it was really great. And this is the year of Ridley Scott having these insane casts do these like sort of ridiculous
and
characters.
these mega budgets, like both of these
Yeah.
are huge movies, and
And
yeah,
he's
they
he's
came
like
out.
80 years old or something, you
Yeah,
know? Yeah.
and they came out within like a month of each other.
Yeah. I just want to know like the time frame of when he shot both of these, because that, yeah, it just seems like an insane thing to do these huge broad scope movies
Yeah,
uh
completely
the
different,
same
like
year.
both like period pieces, completely different, like.
Yeah. I'm here for it though. I'm all for
Yeah, I thought
whatever.
I was into Ridley a lot this year, and like even in The Last Duel, there's like all those scenes where like just all the battle scenes that they set up for just these quick moments of like characterizing Matt Damon specifically. Like there's just the scale of those battle scenes. Like I remember the opening shot of The Last Duel alone is just like this like helicopter or drone shot, whatever the hell they
Yeah.
do now, whatever, of just this massive battle, and it's just this long zoom down to the battle, and I was like immediately like, holy shit, like this is
Yeah.
already like a really ambitious movie.
And still, like, I just like with House of Gucci, like I enjoyed the ridiculousness of Matt Damon and Ben Affleck with their like
Yeah.
goatees.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah,
uh
Ben Affleck's blonde, and he's yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah, he just looks so weird, but
this is also kind of a big Ben Affleck comeback year in a way, because not just because of this movie, but
J
I
Lo.
think we should also mention, well, J Lo, and he also has done a lot of press recently. I don't know if you caught any of
Oh,
it,
I
but
haven't noticed that.
he was on like Howard Stern, like, and he was on Jimmy Kimmel, and like he talked a lot about like just his struggles and his relationship with like, I don't know, I guess like media and like like a lot of the flack he's gotten over his career, because he's constantly been under just so much duress from everyone critically,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
how it's like kind of motivated it like motivated him to direct, and then um, even then like when he like directed like and the movie got nominated, it won best picture, but he didn't even get nominated for like best director at all. And
Hmm.
then when he was Batman, he got so much hate for that. So like you could just really like see like that Ben Affleck's really been like a fighter like his whole career, like because he's just been kept going trying to prove himself in the industry like this whole time. Like he's still at this point doesn't get like the movie star respect that he really should, um, after all this time. I've always been a fan of Affleck. Like I think I talked about this because I was into that basketball movie he did, like
Oh yeah,
whatever that
yeah.
was called, and I was like, this is like Ben Affleck fighting for like his return, like so I said like the same thing there. Um, but I'm still for it. I'm still for it. I'm always for it. He also did a movie called The Tender Bar with like which is directed by George Clooney, which is decent. I would recommend it. It was not it didn't make my honorable mentions, but it could have if I felt like mentioning more movies. Yeah. Also worth mentioning, it was cool to see Matt Damon and Ben Affleck writing together again after all these years, and
Yeah.
writing something that is completely different from their previous endeavor.
Yeah, not what you'd expect. That's for sure. Yeah.
Not at all. Yeah, but they went full. They went all in on it, which
Yeah.
was so cool.
Yeah. All right, nice. Yeah, well that's Last Duel is my number 16 too, so that's
Okay.
that's all I got.
My number 16 is a movie that is probably going to come up on your list. It's the big A24 movie of this year, The Green Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes. This is also
one of
on
the
my
movies
list.
I rented this week. Yeah, so I didn't see it till this week, but it's been like it's been out since like August or something like that. Like
Yeah, I think it was a summertime movie. Yeah.
people have been raving about it since August, and I mean, I saw why. Like, this movie is incredibly unique, and it's not your average A24 movie. And I know that the director made that film, The Ghost Story, which everyone really likes,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't seen that yet, so it definitely motivates me to see it. But yeah, I mean, The Green Knight is like it kind of is doing something similar that I mean, I guess you could say The Last Duel. You could compare it to The Last Duel and how it's like The Last Duel feels like it's telling a classical tale at least, but The Green
Yeah.
Knight actually is a classical tale, and it's kind of modernizing it in a way that makes it not only very accessible, but also makes you see like I don't know. It shows like the potential of these tales for like modern filmmaking and all you can do really with it. Because The
Yeah.
Green Knight is a really amazing like visual like experience. If anything, like
Yeah. I always think of
um,
like the scene where like you see the giants walking
yeah,
and it's like,
yeah,
wow, like yeah. Yeah, I had in the past year seen Ghost Story by David Lowery, and I love that. So that made me really excited to check this out. I'd also seen The Old Man and the Gun, which was a good movie that he did
oh,
with Robert
an
Redford
earlier
years
one.
ago.
Oh, Robert
Um,
Redford.
yeah, yeah, Robert Redford and Sissy Spacek. Yeah, that was a good one that
Oh,
came out in like
nice.
2018 or 17.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and I wasn't familiar at all with this like story beforehand. But yeah, I was really really into it for the theme, uh the
Yeah.
theme of it, and I think that it's like one of these like classic tales that really just has like a timeless
Yeah,
um
timeless message. Like,
message.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
ending is so interesting because it's suddenly like it's weird. It's like cathartic and suddenly makes you at peace with everything, and
Mm,
you're just like, and then it just ends like that, and you're just like, and it has this very I don't know, kind of classically cool looking like when the title kind of pops up, the title is like very
yeah,
kind of
yeah. I
classical and peaceful at the end, like which you're after like that kind of I don't know, so the ending's just very sudden, but it sends you off in a very in a way that surprised me. Number 15 or
15. 15. I believe you just watched this recently as well. I watched this the other day. It's Titane. Titan. I might be saying it
I don't
wrong.
know. It maybe Titane or Titane or
Titan.
Titan. Yeah, it's one of the
Titan.
three.
Something like that.
But
Um.
I actually watched that this morning
Oh, this morning. Oh yeah, I thought I had seen that you watched it.
to start my day. I watched this.
What a movie to start your day with,
Oh
man.
my god, yeah.
I had no I didn't know anything about this movie other than I had seen some people log it on Letterboxd and the poster looked cool and people like seemed to like it. So I was like, oh, this seems like interesting. And
Yeah.
it's like
Didn't You had
the
no idea it was
Letterboxd,
one of the most fucked movies ever.
yeah,
Yeah.
the Letterboxd
I knew it was, but I didn't
plot.
really know what it was about, you know?
Oh, okay, yeah. So you knew a little bit about it, like
I
going
knew it
in,
was
about like
fucked up.
the
I just didn't know anything about what it really was about. If I had, I
wow,
don't think I would have started my day with this. But I don't know. Either way, it's going to be a very uncomfortable watch. So it's kind of just like ripping the band-aid off if you're starting
yeah,
right away. Because I don't think it's going to get easier necessarily. That's just not what
yeah.
this movie is.
And if you don't want to hear spoilers, you can skip ahead like 30 seconds. But I think even
Yeah, it's
if you
hard to talk
hear,
about this one without spoilers, and
yeah,
I don't know.
the,
I don't know how hard we're sticking to the spoiler rule necessarily
nah,
on this, but I feel
that's what I
like
was
we
gonna
could
say.
probably
It
drop some.
you can skip ahead 30 seconds if you want, but I also feel like if you hear the spoiler, you will just want to watch this, or if you want to watch something weird, you're gonna want to watch it anyway. But I was so confused when she fucked the car and and because I didn't know any, like I just like the plot summary says, following a series of unexplained crimes, a former firefighter is reunited with his son who has been missing for 10 years. But I did not see that coming at all. And yeah, um yeah, I just thought this was just again something doing a movie doing something completely different that I wasn't expecting, and really liked it for that. And
Yeah, really
yeah,
unlike anything, and definitely
yeah.
from a I think from a directorial and maybe acting perspective, I think this movie's like a masterpiece for sure.
Hmm.
I would just I personally wouldn't watch it again, just because it's so
Me
fucked
neither.
up, and
Yeah.
it really made me. It's a downer for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I didn't,
it's
this
it,
is not like some of the other ones we talked about. I did not feel good after watching this, but yeah, I thought it was just really, I'm really glad I had seen it though, because it was just so weird and different. And
yeah, it's
yeah,
relentlessly brutal. On just everything
yeah.
it's trying to do and say, and all the the emotions with her and her father and all that. It's just
Hmm.
so nuts. Everything.
Yeah.
Well, and that stuff was fucked up in its own way, like the opening, and but then when
Hmm.
she starts to hide in the firehouse with her dad, and that stuff happens. So that came out of nowhere for I didn't expect that at all. So I was like, what is happening now? And
Yeah.
that takes you to whole new levels of just emotion, and it's just insane. Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
real just it's a real intense dark portrait on just humanity and gender and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. With that said, I'd recommend it. I think you should
Yeah.
watch it. Yeah. But yeah, that's my 15.
Okay, my 15 is Dune.
Dune. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, this was another theater experience I really, really enjoyed because I saw Dune in IMAX, and I thought it was incredible to see in IMAX because everything about Dune really is the size and the scale of everything, and the fact that it's a loud ass movie. So yeah, I definitely like for a theater movie like a did like when you saw when like Blade Runner 2049 came out, it was like, oh my god, it's crazy, like it's in the theater, look at all this shit. It's like similar except it's different because it's Dune. Thought
Mhm.
thought this was really well done. Yeah, I don't have that much else to say about it. It was really just really cool, and
Yeah.
it's I hope there's more. I really like how everyone's just going for it. My one complaint was that the movie was so loud and the soundtrack and like the sound effects were just killing my ears. And so now I started wearing earplugs to the
Oh
movies
wow.
because of this experience. Yeah, because like fucking like I'm not gonna like have more hearing loss just because of Denis Villeneuve and Hans Zimmer want to like destroy my ears. Like it's like unnecessarily loud,
Yeah.
and it would just happen like if like a ship's taken off, it'd be like the loudest fucking shit like ever.
It's
It
like,
was
yeah,
just
what
like
are they
it's
just
like
trying to immerse you into this world? Like,
they are, and like don't get me wrong, like Zimmer's score is amazing and the sound mixing is amazing. Like that's why they're like hammering it home on you. It's just like turn it down a little bit for
yeah.
me. Like it wasn't just me. Like I saw it with my dad, and my dad like was it's like straight up said he's like, yeah, that was like hurting me, and I was like, oh god.
Yeah, that's
So yeah,
it's like you don't need to be that realistic with some of the stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
I felt the same when I like saw Tenet. Like Tenet was loud as shit
Tenant,
in the
yeah.
theaters.
Dune's coming up on my list and I liked it a lot too. So yeah.
Yeah, having read the book, I thought that this was like as good as it could have been. It's very different from the Lynch one. It's very much more
Yeah.
a like a fan pleaser, like this is what you want out of this. Like so here
Hmm.
we're giving it to you, and I thought the cast was all really good. They don't do anything like the cast doesn't do anything crazy. I mean, Chalamet is pretty awesome in this because he has the most work to do. But like Brolin and Oscar Isaac, they're like clearly serving like a quick purpose at the
Yeah.
beginning. But they are pretty awesome in it nevertheless. And Jason Momoa has
Momoa.
some really cool
Yeah.
scenes with his whatever things on his arms where he's like it's just like it's exactly like that. um and I thought the movie just kind of ended in a way that made you want want to see this character like
Oh yeah.
fulfill his hero's journey so badly. So I really hope they make more, and I'll be looking forward to it.
All right, my number 14 is No Time to Die. So yeah, I feel like we covered that pretty well. Don't have much more to add, but yeah, really like No Time to Die. It's my number 14. Yeah.
All right, my number 14 is Titane.
All
So
right.
we can just move right
Covered
past
that too.
14.
All right. 13 is Red Rocket. Um
I didn't see this yet. It's not
uh,
anywhere.
yeah,
Like streaming.
I'll edit this part out, but I 1 2 3 movied it. I don't want the cops showing up at my door. But yeah, this was one I really wanted to see. Uh Comedic guy Simon Rex starring in it, where he's sort of a
Isn't he like a perv?
yeah, he's like in the porn industry, and Red Rocket is a very solid movie. And yeah, I'd recommend it. It's my number 13. Yeah.
Yeah, Sean Baker makes a lot of movies that are kind of like really looked up to by
Mm,
indie filmmakers because he
yeah.
makes like the most like on the street feel type movies. Like I don't know if you ever saw Tangerine, but
I've seen like parts of Tangerine. That was
yeah,
like the
it's
one shot
like
on an iPhone,
yeah,
right?
shot entirely on iPhone in
Hmm.
like Hollywood, and it just kind of shows just all the it really captures the dirtiness of Hollywood and the shittiness of like
Hmm.
not Hollywood the industry, Hollywood the city, um because Hollywood now is known for just it's been known for a few years of just being like, and also downtown LA, they're both like really sketchy areas that like are yeah have like a lot of homeless people and like characters like you would see in Tangerine. So
Hmm.
I don't know if Red Rocket does anything of that nature necessarily.
I mean, it feels very like, real. Like it like feels like these are real people, and it's not,
Yeah,
and I think that's probably along the same lines as Tangerine.
my number 13 is The French Dispatch.
Nice. It's coming up on my list later.
Yeah, this is I saw this kind of late. Like I saw this like after Thanksgiving, I remember. And it was like especially when I was living at home still and I was kind of just like getting ready to move. I went to the movies a lot cuz I didn't really have that much going on. So like French Dispatch, I like just went by myself on Black Friday just to like get out of the house because I'd been
Hmm.
just been in the house way too much, and it was great. It was a great thing to see. Like I remember you saying that there were a lot of like shots that you could have just had on loop, and
Hmm.
like really artfully composed shots, like and stuff like that. And I definitely saw that like immediately. Like this is an incredibly stylized movie.
Yeah.
Um, maybe Wes Anderson's like most stylized movie if it really comes down to it. And I think uh that's just like what made it so awesome for me and not really like happy to see another Wes Anderson movie because it really was a just piece of art. Everything
Yeah.
about how this movie was put together. Yeah, I don't even like remember that much about what happens in each individual anthology story. I just remember that everything was really really beautiful. That's then that the feeling was very I just felt very delighted to be in the theater that day.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I do think this is just like a beautiful like piece of art. It's like every frame is just so like amazing. And it just I think I mentioned this in an episode too, but just the scene where they're like pouring the coffee and like cream and sugar and just like spinning the tray
Right,
around, and
right.
it's just like the all the little details that like go into it. Yeah, I could just watch that stuff forever. Like I don't even care about the story. I'll just watch something like that. But then yeah, I thought each of the little anthologies were in their own right, like great stories that I was really getting into. And I think I didn't love it. I don't know, when I remember when I was watching it, there were a couple of moments where it just sort of lost me, and maybe because it was moving a little too fast, or it was dragging maybe in some parts where I just felt like it wasn't getting to its point. But then sort of like after each one of them, I was like a bit disappointed. I was like, oh man, I'm sad that that part of like the story is over. Like I could have had more of that. Um and I think that it just like a lot of Wes Anderson movies can do. They just move very fast. And
Yeah.
so I felt like I was just going, like after like we left and was walking out of the theater, I was like, I think if I watched, like I would watch that again tomorrow, and I bet I would like it even more had I seen it again and just had more time to just really digest all the little stories.
Yeah, for
in it.
sure.
But yeah, I really liked it too. It's coming up on my list, and yeah, I feel like he keeps Wes Anderson with each like new Wes Anderson movie that comes out. He keeps like I don't know, taking his style like up a notch, like making it more
Yeah.
Wes Anderson.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
but you're not getting tired of it because it ends up being, yeah, like it's really, yeah, it's just like
yeah,
great filmmaking, you know? It's just really incredibly you creative.
yeah, yeah. And I'll always be interested to see something that Wes Anderson does because he just is so distinct in his own style. So yeah, yeah, cool. Um, all right, so we're on number 12 now.
Yep.
All right, my number 12 is Nightmare Alley, the aforementioned Nightmare Alley. Yeah, and I liked this one a lot more than I thought I would. I was very into the atmosphere of it and just the
Yeah.
sort of eeriness and darkness to it.
Yeah.
All surrounding like these carnival acts. Like it was,
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely it was like I took like a film class in college where we watched Freaks. Um, that
It's a movie?
that old like 30s movie where they have like it's like a freak show. And it's
Oh,
really
okay.
like creepy and eerie, and it's like you always think like, okay, back in the day they would go to these like circuses and carnivals for like entertainment, but really like it's just they're very like creepy, and
Yeah.
everybody is like sort of sleazy and up to no good. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I
Yeah,
liked
like
that
Willem
whole
Dafoe has
atmosphere.
that like beat up dude in his like I don't know that kept locked up at the
Yeah,
beginning of the movie. That
it's
was
like all
so weird.
these people are like they're prisoners or whatever
Yeah, that
too,
was fucked up. I was
the
like
guy
wondering if
biting
they were
chicken
gonna come
heads off.
back to that.
Yeah, yeah, so I think that's just all of that together just added to the sort of eeriness and creepiness to it.
Yeah.
um and yeah, I liked it. I totally forgot that it was Guillermo del Toro until I started watching it. But yeah, I feel like there hasn't been a ton of hype about it, but I'd recommend it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And as I mentioned, I saw it in black and white, which I think actually made it better first, and
Yeah, that's interesting.
kind of worked well with the old school carny thing that it had going on. And there's a lot of like it's like kind of takes place in like the jazz era. Like there's a lot of jazz
Mm.
playing in this, and yeah, like even though it's not like ranked as high for me as you, I'm definitely still very thankful that movies like these exist.
Hmm. Yeah, and I know there's an old one in the Criterion Collection, which I assume is based on the same story. But
Oh yeah, I mean it's based off a book, so it could be.
mhm.
It probably is.
I assume so. Yeah,
And I thought Bradley Cooper was really good. Like I feel like
yeah,
out of all the movies he's done, this is maybe like one of the most like sophisticated ones where he is carrying the whole thing. You know what I mean?
yeah. I see that. Yeah, 12.
Number 12. Okay, number 12. Mine is Judas and the Black Messiah,
Mm.
which is like I think the first movie from 2021 I
Yeah,
watched.
I forget this one is a 2021 movie, even
I
though it
know
is on my list. But yeah,
it feels like oh actually I think Judas and the Black Messiah was at the 2020 Oscars.
it might have been. I
So
bet it was.
like I think it didn't get released to America till 2022, but it got released like somewhere else in 2020 or something like that.
Yeah,
Like not
it probably
everyone
had
like
its
it.
premiere in
Yeah,
2020,
something
and
like that
yeah,
because I think Daniel Kaluuya won like an Oscar for this
I think you're
movie
right. Yeah,
and that was at it. So yeah, either way it's on my 2022 list cuz that's when I saw it and that's if you look up this movie anywhere it's like I think it's
it's a 2021
it's a
film. Yeah,
yeah. But yeah, I think we talked about this a little bit. This is just a very good movie. Very, you got, you got Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield and Jesse Plemons doing their thing, and it's just very intense movie about the Black Power movement and all that stuff, and has just a lot of adrenaline rushing scenes, and it's really well directed by Shaka King.
Shaka King.
Yeah. At one point I could have easily seen this being my number one of the year.
Yeah, this was really good. I figured it would be like at the top of my list towards the end, but a lot of great stuff came out. But
yeah, I almost felt like a personal responsibility, like to be like,
right?
Judas and the Black Messiah is like, definitely I like it more than Barb and Star,
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those that it feels like you should have it up higher. But yeah, I mean, it's those three guys you mentioned. Those are like, who's hotter than those three right now?
Right.
And man, those scenes when Daniel Kaluuya it's like dead silent,
like,
and he is just yelling.
A revolutionary.
Oh my god, that alone was just like, yeah, it just hits you like a gut punch. Yeah, it's
I just remembered like Jesse
crazy.
Plemons scenes where he's kind of like explaining to them, like, I don't know, he's kind of being that difficult, like, corporate, like, white presence of telling them how it is, like,
yeah.
What is it? I forget if he's a lawyer or what he is, but he's kind of like their bridge. He's kind of like their bridge into the white world. I remember, and he's kind of I don't know. He like his character, like, he's not just like as blatantly racist as other characters would be. There's a lot of like layers to his like oppression and racism and like what that character does. And I thought like what like kind of what Plemons brought to Breaking Bad, for instance, like that restrained like side to him. I thought he was perfect for this particular role.
Yeah. All right, so that was 12. My number 11 is The Matrix Resurrections.
Nice.
Yeah, and I was very excited to see this movie. I do have one qualm with it, though, is that this was shot in San Francisco, and they had like an open casting call for Bay Area residents, and I submitted my my headshot and everything that Carly took of me in our backyard, and I never got a call back for anything, not even a bystander. And so I was thinking about boycotting this movie altogether, but instead,
hey, my pain now, John. It's the long road of rejection.
I needed that, though. Maybe I'll be an bystander.
Did you watch Inside Llewyn Davis after you didn't get your bystander role?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh my god, it hit close to home. This was my Inside Llewyn Davis moment, man. Yeah, but I just,
you could have been in the Matrix.
Yeah, that could have been me.
There's like a
meeting.
There's like a separate line for you where he's like, John, this is where you're going, back to the Matrix after all this time.
I was born for it, I swear. But whatever, it is what it is.
Yeah, maybe they felt your hair resembled Keanu Reeves's hair too much, and that's why you didn't get it.
They'll do the next Matrix. There'll be like a bunch of Keanu duplicates. And maybe I'll play one of them.
You'll be all the Keanus, like the Smiths.
Yeah, I'll be like the knockoff Keanus. Yeah. Also, I'll submit that story to the Wachowskis. I also enjoyed the sort of meta stuff they had, talking about the Matrix movies, and
the hyper meta-ness of it.
Yeah. Because sometimes that's like a little much, but I thought it worked well here. I liked it a lot. Much like the Scream movies, where I think it worked. It's meta and it
that's
works.
A good comparison.
Yeah, and I'm definitely I was just into it. I'm definitely open to any more. This is like one of the reboots that I think was like done in a way that it should be if you're bringing something like this back. Like it doesn't seem like it was super unnecessary to me, and I think that's even just a lame criticism. But yeah, this was a reboot
Yeah.
that I was happy to see. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot to say about this movie, but I'll save it because it's coming up.
Figured, yeah. That's my number 11 though.
All right, my number 11 is The Power of the Dog.
Nice.
Which I saw. It was one of my last trips to the Music Box. Was The Power of the Dog, and I saw it on film, and it was a just very nice evening at the movies. And I actually wish I was able, especially since I have this very high on my list, like I wanted to rewatch this for this episode so I could have more of like I don't know, more insight to bring, but I really don't have any. Like every time I watch a Jane Campion movie too, I never fully understand them. I think it's partly like, I don't know, her style of filmmaking. I just haven't fully grasped yet. So I definitely want to watch this again just because I do really like it. I do think it usually gets ranked in most like rankings I see for best movies of the year by like all the prestigious, like, I don't know, critics or like IndieWire or whatever, like all those lists. Power of the Dog is usually in the top 5, and I think like that is like deservedly so. I just like feel like I need to personally like see it again because it is one of those like just like, you know, like high class cinephiles. It's like one of the, you know, it's like you could say it's like the best film of the year for those people, you know, like specifically.
That was your 11. My 10 is Judas and the Black Messiah. So yeah, I don't have
There we
anything else
go.
to add there. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, my number 10 is, like Titane, an incredibly unique movie.
I think I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, that I didn't. Also, I did not fully understand, but I think I definitely understand this more than The Power of the Dog. Because and this movie's very in your face with it. It's Annette with Adam Driver. And it was also this. I did not know anything about what this movie was going to be, and it ended up being one of probably the most unique musical I've ever seen before.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't know it was going to be so much of a musical, but I loved how it opened, where they're just all walking,
it's
they
time
all
to
gathering. Time to start. Can we start? Can we? And it's like like in Hot Rod when everybody like joins in and starts walking together.
Yeah.
And it's just this like repetitive like driving song, and I was just like, this is so weird, but you could tell that they know it's weird, but they're like they're going all out for it.
Like that one number at the beginning where Adam Driver and God, I always forget her name. Marion Cotillard. Yeah, they like sing like, "We love each other very
so much." we love each other very much.
I'm pretty sure
just
like,
over and over again. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure when that song started, I just started laughing out loud, like alone to myself.
Yeah. That's what this movie was hilarious. Okay, I guess so.
Yeah.
So Barb and Star was my second favorite comedy of the year. Annette was my favorite comedy of the year. I just, Adam Driver being a stand-up comedian, but he's just like,
yeah, he's like the artsiest stand-up comedian that's ever existed.
Doing like his one-man show where he's just like crazy psychopath. Like, oh my God, it was so funny. I think, I don't know who could do that better than Adam Driver. Like that role, I thought was like just very much
isn't he? He's like always doing stand-up like in his underwear.
Yeah, it reminded me of when he's so great when he's on SNL too, because he's just this very like this trained,
He's just fun. He's
incredible
just
actor,
funny.
and he's
Yeah.
hilarious. Yeah. And like Titane, there is a weird baby that is non-human.
Right. Yes. Exactly.
So
That's the
it also has
biggest
that in common.
bridge between the two. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not as fucked up as the baby in Titane.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also, the thing I loved about Annette too is like it's all it was, for the most part, it was all in like sets.
Yeah.
And
That's a
like the
big part
boat
of it.
scene I thought was like incredible, and that was all just in one set. um yeah, I just thought it was just a really like, yeah, again, like Detain, just something I hadn't seen before, didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Before I watched it, I watched Holy Motors, which is
Oh, I have not seen that. Yeah.
same director's other movie, which I knew was supposed to be bizarre and weird also. And that was too, but I think it set me up to, I guess, know what I was in for a little bit more with this. But yeah, I think it also enhanced my experience, because can we start? Can we? Yeah, right from that song, I was like, this is so fucking awesome and weird. I love it. So yeah.
It was interesting too how like how Annette ends up being like how, I don't know, Marion Cotillard kind of lives through Annette in a weird way. Yeah, like she
Yeah.
doesn't feel, I don't know, they like imply she's not really gone because of that.
Yeah, she's like haunting him still. Yeah.
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 Also that one dude, what's his name? Simon Simon Helberg. He's great in this movie.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah.
dude
He's
from Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory. Yeah. I was
Howard
trying to figure out.
Wolowitz.
I was trying to figure out why he looked so familiar when I was watching it, and then I looked it up and I was like,
Yeah,
oh
he
yeah,
was.
that guy in Big
Yeah, he's
Bang
like the
Theory. He was
conductor. He's really good in this.
that scene when he's conducting, and
Yeah.
that he was so great, and just that scene alone. But yeah, and that whole dynamic just threw a whole wrench in the story. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that in itself, I guess it's a pretty, like, I don't know, like basic story, or like familiar in a way, of just jealousy and these competition,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, between two significant others.
Yeah.
Something sort of similar, and that going crazy. But yeah, no, I really liked it. Now this is one that I couldn't stop thinking about after I saw it. Yeah.
We love each other so much.
And they're just like driving on the
Yeah, they're
the
like on a motorcycle or
yeah, the
something. Like,
motorcycle, just singing it to
yeah.
each other. And then they're just like naked, having sex
Yeah, they're
too,
like naked.
and in like sort of like odd positions, and just singing this too. And yeah, it's
Yeah. I'm like, this is like the second scene.
yeah. Yeah,
and
really.
it keeps going like just down this rabbit hole further to where you're like,
Yeah.
like, like, yeah, you couldn't predict it at all. I was honestly expecting like along the lines of like a like Judd Apatow movie, because like Adam Driver's like playing a comedian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, but really not that at all.
Yeah. Same with Titane. When you read the plot summary of this, it's not gonna tell you enough about what you're
No,
in
definitely
for.
not.
But yeah, but I couldn't recommend Annette more. So yeah. Nice. All right, so that was number
10.
10. All right, well, okay, we have entered the top 10. And the next one on my list, number 9, is Roadrunner, the Anthony Bourdain documentary, which I think we talked about this for a Bender episode back in the summer.
Yeah, we did.
Whenever it came out. So yeah, I probably gave my personal journey of Anthony Bourdain. Yeah, I thought it was a nice sort of homage to just who he was. And yeah, I mean, I think it's this was one that I wasn't sure how I felt about after, because it was very, very sad. And I felt very like emotional after it, and I think anyone can. But I also think that it showed like the sides of him where he really like changed, and it wasn't, you could see that there was something different about him, and he wasn't necessarily being his best self to everyone around him.
Yeah.
But then also, I also think, just show the human side of him, which he showed a lot in his shows, and then
Yeah, a lot of like the
was a
mental
nice,
health stuff and like all that
yeah.
problem, which is definitely the most interesting part of it to me and my
Hmm.
biggest takeaway. Um, yeah, and I just love the like opening, how it like shows like when he was younger and he like woke up and he like smoked cigarettes and he just started writing, and
And
I'm
he's just
like,
typing
oh
away.
shit. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, that's like a whole new side to this guy that, really opened it up, because I've always viewed his show as like like, I don't know. I don't know if everyone would take this away, like to take this away from his show. It's like that more so than it just being that this guy ate a bunch of food, but like that the fact that, from a writing and like journalist perspective, he's like showing like so much of every place that he's visiting, and he's showing
Hmm.
every side of every place, and I think that's really like um the themes he draws from every place on earth. I think is like, I don't know, maybe other than the fact that his persona and like the likability, and that he was able to draw
Hmm.
all these people towards him. I think that, as a writer, like not a guy who's not known as a writer, he really was a writer, I think. And I think that's
Yeah.
the yeah, like I guess the main point I'm making about like why it's really key to show him there, like writing one of his books that he wrote, because yeah, like that, like he really, like it was his voice on the show, like that
Yeah.
made those shows. And yeah.
Yeah. I just think he's a really interesting person. I'd recommend all his books too. I think you'd probably enjoy reading his
I
books.
have one of them. I just didn't get to it. I have Kitchen Confidential.
Confidential. Yeah, nice. That's a good place to
I
start.
bought it
Yeah.
because of this documentary.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
And his books, you can really just like read him in his voice too. Like he just has such a
yeah,
distinct
because you have the
sense of
show's like
humor, and
narration in your head, and so
yeah.
yeah.
So they're really enjoyable to read. Yeah.
Yeah, I like watched one of the LA episodes
Oh,
because I've been
nice.
watching the show since I got here. And what's great about the LA episode, specifically to like what we're talking about, is that like he only does like Mexican people in
Hmm.
the LA episode. He like there it's all Hispanic people, and that's like one of the like really like overshadowed, not talked about things about LA, is that it's like incredibly working class here. Like there's incredible wealth disparity. Like it's
Hmm.
mostly like LA's mainly known for all like the flash and like all like ever you just hear about like Beverly Hills and all the nice areas, but there's a huge like working class population that is like um not talked about, and but you really feel it when you're here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought
That's.
he just showed that incredibly well. I don't think he ever
Hmm.
does like a basic LA episode. Like he only does like
Yeah.
ethnic areas and stuff like that. Okay, my number 9 is it's not as important as that documentary, but it's really good. It's King Richard. Uh
Mm.
the Will Smith and the Williams sisters. Will Smith and the
Yes.
Williams sisters, kind of. Yeah, we talked about this a lot on the Jingle All the Way Part 2 episode, and
Yeah.
everyone knows, if you listen to that, you definitely know how I feel. I thought this movie was as good as it could have been. Um, I don't have much more to say about it now, but what's funny is I was watching like a Simpsons episode, and there's like it's this episode where the Simpsons get really into tennis, and they like start getting competitive with each other, and they ended up like playing at a, I don't know, at this match, and there's all these people watching for some reason. And so then like Homer and Marge like both dump their kids for like the Williams sisters as
Oh
their partner.
yes, yeah, I
It's
remember that
yeah,
now.
so that's
Yeah,
pretty funny. And then
yeah,
the Williams sisters end up dumping Homer and Marge.
yeah.
So that's really mainly what I thought of. I mean, so I thought about, I was like, oh yeah, I have to talk about this movie again on the podcast. I'll probably bring that bit up. Yeah, but yeah, King
Yeah,
Richard's really good. Yeah, don't have
yeah.
much more to say about it.
This should have been one of my honorable mentions too. Yeah, I thought it was really good too. Well, my number 8 is Dune, and we talked about that. I feel good about what we talked about. So yeah, Dune.
Yeah, me too.
Number 8. All right. And what's your number 8?
Oh yeah, right. my number 8, my number 8 is Bo Burnham's Inside.
Oh yes.
Which is one of the most powerful but also depressing things ever. Yeah, it's so amazing, and it like it all not only made me like, it very much helped me with my depression at the time. Maybe it did. I don't know if it helped me. It definitely like um it gave me a laugh, and it gave me a very like it gave me a very beautiful like relatable experience at the time. I mean, I definitely wasn't in I've not been in necessarily Bo Burnham's place that he's in this like
Mm-hmm.
special, but I think that having uh having been alone and lived alone for a while, and also having like the pandemic began, I have like definitely been in very, very lonely places to where the inside was, you could say, was very up my alley, like when I
Mm-hmm.
saw it, and definitely like inspired me. I was like, wow, look at all the possibilities of what you can create
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I probably thought of like all these things I would do that I never ended up doing, but um I mean, that just shows like this feat that he took on to make this all alone, and then ended up being as good as it was is pretty remarkable. And
Yeah.
definitely, especially after how good Eighth Grade was, that film, like it puts like Bo Burnham for sure on my radar as like all like top artists, like top artists slash guys that I'm like can't wait to see work wise what they do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope Bo has worked on his mental health a little bit after this, so he can
Yeah.
keep making more things, because there are some very heavy moments in this special.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. This is my number 1 for a long time. Um and yeah, no, like he's like, I think I took away a very like positive and like euphoric experience from watching this. And yeah, the way, and then he incorporates this sort of storyline with himself throughout it too, that was just sort of like um subtle, but that's where I almost feel like it's like a narrative film too. There's just the
Yeah,
structure of
just
it.
like his relationship with like the audience, really like just the
Mm-hmm.
camera. Yeah, that's kind of the running narrative, is like that he's trying to make. It's like not only special, it's about trying to make the special like inside.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Yeah.
yeah, and you just always see the same like lights that he has around, like I don't know, it's just like you start to feel like a weird like connection between him and like his gear, and like trying to like manipulate the room a million different ways. Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I thought that just the fact that he's not only like making something, he's not only like he's like composing music, he's writing comedy, he's also like documenting all of him doing it, documenting his mental health, and he's also like he's like being like the cinematographer of this whole thing,
Yeah.
of like he's like being the like he's the director of photography for all his like sets, and like songs and stuff. I was like just yeah, I was just like amazed at all he did. Yeah.
Nobody's doing something quite like him right now, and I can't wait to see what he does next. And yeah, now there's like this mystique around Bo Burnham.
Yeah, there really is.
Yeah, he seems like he's like, you know, you can't like he'd be a hard guy to get an interview with or something. You know, he's just
Yeah, it's like a Marlon Brando thing.
yeah, it's weird because he just was like this goofy kid doing these like funny videos. Yeah,
Right,
now he's
right.
this mysterious artist that um yeah, Inside I could also talk about for a while, but yeah. My number 7 is Tick Tick Boom, the Andrew Garfield,
Nice.
Lin-Manuel movie. Yeah, and again, I've seen Rent. I know a bit about Rent, but didn't know much about the guy who wrote it and this
See,
other
I haven't
play.
seen Rent.
Oh, interesting. But yeah, I grew up with a sister who was very into musical theater, or at least she went through like that phase where she was really into it. And I remember it was right around the time Rent came out, and I'd seen it a couple times then. Um, and I never really liked it. I really didn't like the music in Rent that much, and and I just was never a fan of it. But I think it was just because I was like an annoyed little brother who had to listen to the soundtrack too much.
Yeah.
But Tick Tick Boom, I really loved, and I also loved the music in it too. And I was thinking maybe I like this more, this Lin-Manuel movie more because it wasn't his music in it, which I haven't been a
That's what
huge
I've
fan of.
said. I've
Yeah,
been like, I probably like this Lin-Manuel movie because he didn't write it.
yeah, yeah. I just the whole reason I didn't love In the Heights was sort of because of the music, and then I saw Hamilton and realized that's sort of his style. But anyway, I thought, yeah, this was again uh a creatively inspiring movie to watch. I'm sure you felt that watching it, and yeah, Andrew Garfield is great. Again, loved the music too, and I thought he was thought he sang pretty well too, and he
Yeah,
looks
apparently
so
he.
much like the guy too when they showed him in the end.
Oh, does he?
Hmm.
Yeah, apparently he didn't know how to. Not that he didn't know how to sing, but he like just didn't sing before, so he like trained to sing specifically for this movie.
Yeah, that's
Really
yeah,
pulled it
impressive.
off. Yeah,
Yeah.
really pulled it off. I on sort of semi-related thing, I saw this like video of like Andrew Garfield on Fallon, and it's probably from a while ago, and like because the internet is really obsessed nowadays, especially with the Spider-Man movie coming out this year, of just other versions of Spider-Man, specifically the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, which I think is
Hmm.
interesting because you never hear anything good about those, like the Garfield Spider-Mans. But for
Yeah.
some reason, the amount of like posts I see of like that are just like a picture of Andrew Garfield on the set of Spider-Man filming, I'm just kind of like, why? But another thing that popped up is like a video of Andrew Garfield on the Tonight Show, and he's singing like the classic, like Spider-Man, like he has like an acoustic guitar and he's like singing it for everyone, and like Jimmy's like singing it along with him. I'm like, this is the funniest shit ever. I'm like, when did this happen?
This should have been talked about more. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like this should have been a big deal. But yeah, I just thought that was really funny. But yeah, I love Tick Tick Boom as well. Not only do I think the music is good, I think it's also like really funny and relatable, and takes you on this incredible emotional journey. Like when at the end, like not the end, but when when his character's finally like presenting the musical that he's been working on for all these years, and he's kind of going like, and he just introduces himself for the audience, and he's like, I'm Jonathan Larson, and he's like, this is a musical I wrote, I hope you like it. You just like feel like the weight of all of like his like, you know, you like get his whole like inner like uh I don't know, inner turmoil or conflict or
Yeah.
whatever, and just like you feel like the weight of it for him, even though like you know he has to like present, like he's presenting it, but like what it really means to him. And yeah, I think like I remember I like it was like Thanksgiving when I watched this, and I like had been eating all day, and I like drank wine that day, and then I watched this movie, and I, you know, usually after you watch a movie at 10 p.m. on Thanksgiving you are out for the count, but I went like down in my basement and like wrote after this, and I hadn't been writing at all. And of course I did not write like the days after this, but like I wrote
Mhm.
immediately after watching this movie, just because like I felt like I had to. Yeah, it's just like an incredibly inspirational film.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. Yeah, I figured you would take that away from it too. Yeah. And just you know, can always go back to the Beatles documentary, but like that, I mean, it shows like his creative process going through these songs over and over, and um yeah, yeah, and just being a very like, personal thing to him. Yeah, yeah, really inspirational story. And also had no idea that he died um you know, the day before Rent was supposed to premiere uh
Oh shit.
off Broadway. Yeah, so that's like such a like a sad ending to his life, but yeah, no, this is a really
But a
cool movie. And
good homage to him for
yeah,
sure. Tribute
definitely.
to him, yeah, really good. And I thought Lin Manuel Miranda like did do a really good job directing it. Like all the like especially like the like backstage like rehearsal stuff of like Andrew of like Jonathan Larson and Vanessa Hudgens like singing and stuff. Like there's some moments that are just incredibly good,
Yeah.
like musical number wise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's my
Yeah,
number 7.
Year of the
Yeah.
Musical. I feel like that closes it out almost.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Yeah, we just talked about Inside too. Yeah, that's
And
yeah.
Annette and well, we have one more to talk about actually. I think maybe my next one. Number 7, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, my next one is a musical, West Side Story.
Oh yeah.
Spielberg's West Side Story. Yeah, Year of the Musical.
True,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, I so I'm like biased because I've only seen the original West Side Story once. Um, but I liked this one more than the original West Side Story.
Ooh, wow.
I mean, like he's, you know, he's kind of doing the Gus Van Sant thing of just remaking the same movie,
Mhm.
you know, scene for scene. But I don't know what Spielberg kind of brings to this, like with his ability. Like we did a Spielberg like series, so we kind of have an idea of this guy's like you know abilities.
Yeah.
So even if we didn't do the series, like he just his ability to like cover like scenes and like you know do different kind of shots, like, and you know switching from close-ups to like wides and stuff like that. Like I remember the original West Side Story mainly just has wide shots like constantly of like the
Mm.
gangs and the groups and stuff, and like mostly what you're interested in is like the color is like really fantastic in the original, but this one has like scenes where you're like all these like close-ups on all the people like dancing, and then like these sweeping shots like across the group back to like a wide, and you're just like, oh my god, like look at what he's doing. Like you know, like just Spielberg adding his
Mhm.
own touch and flair to this like one of the most like I think ambitious and iconic musicals ever. So I greatly enjoyed that. And I also felt like everyone's really like not happy with Ansel Elgort in this role. I'm not like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like I like totally like gonna say he nailed it, but I thought he was good in it. And
Yeah.
I also felt like the cast in general for me was more memorable than the cast in the original. Others who probably grew up with the original probably would disagree with that, but for me I just like
Mm.
felt like people specifically who plays Maria really shined in this film.
All right, my number 6 is The French Dispatch, which we talked about.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, that's my number 6.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
my number 6 is The Tragedy of Macbeth.
All right.
Yeah, this movie is a simply a masterpiece. I thought like I kind of had a feeling it was going to be like, especially just on the first like opening shot. I was like, oh yeah, this is clearly going to be a masterpiece because I don't know,
Yeah.
cinematography wise, it may be it's up there with best of the year for me. I think this movie is visually just incredible, and then just the fact that it's not only visually unique but also like the actors are all like on full display here, just doing this classic play. I just thought it was as like King Richard except in a different way. I thought this was as good as it could have been. um
Yeah.
yeah, and you know, and also kind of like, you know, like how Throne of Blood is like an incredible Macbeth adaptation. I feel like this is just in its own right, just, you know, an incredible Macbeth adaptation. Yeah.
Yeah, I really really like this. I think, I've really only seen, as far as like Macbeth movies or adaptations, I've only seen Throne of Blood and this now.
Yeah,
Um
I have too. That's me too. But there's so many, I think.
yeah, there are, but yeah, I guess, yeah, it's Macbeth is one I haven't known too much about. My number 5 then is The Green Knight, which we talked
Nice.
about. So yeah, I feel good. Feel good about The Green Knight. Yeah, number 5.
All right.
Really liked it. My top 5.
My number 5 is Spencer, which I've talked about in a previous episode. That yeah, I don't know if you've seen it yet.
I haven't. No, this is another one.
Yeah, I think this is one that like it didn't get like, I don't know. Everyone seemed to like it, you know, and I think a lot of people saw it too. Um, and I think Kristen Stewart too just has that draw. I think that's a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But like it just seems like a movie where, you know, like, you know, you like what I said about West Side Story, like, oh, it was in and out of the theater or something like that. And I don't think so. I think Spencer had a good theater run and a lot of people saw, and everyone's pretty much, you know, unanimously talks about how good it was. And yeah, it is. It's really great. Yeah, it's very a great movie about isolation and anxiety and motherhood, and really just um, Kristen Stewart's really great. Also like The House of Gucci has great costumes. It will probably compete at the Oscars with House of Gucci for costume design.
Oh,
Because
nice.
like
Yeah.
everything Kristen Stewart like was wearing and like her hair and everything, like I just thought was awesome. And also has great cinematography too.
All right, my number 4 is Annette. Um, and I just want to reiterate that I
Nice.
that I highly
I love
recommend Annette.
Annette very much.
I love this movie so much. Can we start this movie? Yeah, it's oh yeah, I just while I was watching too, I would go back to like rewatch a part over again. I was
Oh,
really,
really?
I was
I can
really
see
getting
that being
into
very
Annette.
beneficial.
Hmm. And then I stopped doing that once Carly came into the room and I showed her a part, and she didn't necessarily think it was as funny as I thought it was. And I was like, all right, I'll just keep watching then. I won't show you, try to show you anything.
Yeah, you know, rewind it every 5 minutes, be like, she thinks you're a
Look
crazy
at this.
person.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, so yeah, I recommend Annette. It's on Amazon Prime if you have it.
All right, my number 4 is The Matrix Resurrections. And
Yes.
I say yours was at like number 8 or whatever, or 11.
11. 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I saved my like Matrix Resurrection rant for now.
Hmm.
Because I have a lot to say about this movie. Maybe more to say about it than any of these movies. More than like Judas and the Black Messiah and like the Power of the Dog and Titane, all these fucking movies, Green Knight. Yeah, I have a lot to say about the Matrix Resurrections because um, it kind of just like one, it kind of sparked my like like revisiting all the Matrix movies.
Hmm.
Um, I kind of did that for this movie. I just rewatched all of them, and I'm really happy I did because damn, they are some unique films, that's for sure. And so like, and I realized that at this point in my like film watching career, especially when it comes to science fiction and the woke nature that science fiction makes you feel, I am definitely most I the way I used to feel like about like 2001: A Space Odyssey or Blade Runner or something like that is now what I feel about the Matrix when I like watch a sci-fi film and try to like relate it to my own surroundings. That's kind of how where I'm at with the Matrix at the moment. But so Matrix Revolutions, I ended up seeing Resurrections, not Revolutions. Resurrection, they're so similar sounding, but Matrix Resur
I didn't even remember that it was Resurrections until I read it on
yeah,
Newsstand. Yeah.
could just kept calling it Revolutions, but
Yeah.
Resurrections I saw on opening night in IMAX, and it was also a packed house, and so happy
Oh
that it
yeah.
was a packed house, and
Yeah.
I remember I coffeeed up for this movie because it was a late showing, like 10 or something, like 10:30, maybe even later than that, but I'm just not good with late showings at all. Like I've had opportunities to go to some like in the past, and I've turned them down because I know, like especially if they're like midnight showings, like no fucking way.
Yeah. No, that's
Like
tough.
just mentally, I'm not like able to be in public sitting down in the dark. Like no,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's very tough for me. But I get the appeal. But so this, I was very coffeeed out, very wired, um, in general, and this just like this movie, like I don't know, it kind of just it hit me, like it hit me, like I didn't know what I was gonna think of it, especially at the beginning. Um, but then when I realized that when the new Morpheus kind of showed up, and I realized that they're just doing the original plot again, and that like what this is that the plot of the one and Neo and like like that, just this is a recurring thing, as you mentioned with the meta nature of it.
Hmm.
Not only did I like that aspect of this movie, but I also think like it's very fitting for this movie to do an extra meta kind of unoriginal like kind of an unoriginal thing, like on how like this movie is very reliant on our familiarity with the other matrices, um
Hmm.
because in this age of like reboots and like Marvel movies and remakes and all this like Star Wars and all this shit, like a reboot happens to kind of like that kind of like a reboot like Matrix Resurrections, that is a reboot, but is also commenting on other like reboots and
Mm-hmm.
everything, and commenting on the unoriginality of like Hollywood right now. It just kind of works um, in just that in that scope, if you get what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, it just kind of I just kind of love that part of it. Like it manages to like be a big Hollywood reboot, but also it kind of trashes Hollywood in its own way. Yeah. And I also love like the video game nature of it. Like it kind of
Yeah.
works that um Keanu is like a video game programmer and he like takes the pill every day, and I loved like his relationship with Neil Patrick Harris as his
Yeah.
therapist, and how he's like kind of trying to make him be asleep always. And what else? I loved how this movie was also really funny and like goofy, and did like it just added to the self-aware aspect of it. I remember something like really crazy happens, and then Keanu just kind of goes like, holy fuck. You know what I mean? Like just in the middle of nowhere. And that's just kind of what this movie is. Like that's the tone of
Yeah.
it. Um so yeah, man, I just like I loved everything about this. Like I thought it was like, I don't know, like it's kind of like The Last Jedi, and how it's like a happy accident that this movie ends up not only existing but also ends up being really great, and really unlike anything I've seen. So it's kind of why I put it so high on my list.
Yeah, yeah, no, that sounds, I think if you see this at like a midnight showing with like a good crowd and everything like that, just
Yeah.
adds to it too. Cool. All right. Well, my number 3 is Inside, the Bo Burnham special. So, yeah,
Nice. Talked about
yeah,
that a bunch.
yep.
My number 3 is Barb and Star.
Barb and Star.
Yeah. I don't think I was really saving a rant for Barb and Star necessarily, but yeah, I fucking loved Barb and Star, and I think I'm just thankful that we have it, because comedy movies have not been great in the past decade, and Barb and Star is kind of a rare like kind of like one of those SNL comedies, but I don't know, I don't know, it's also like better than a lot of SNL comedies to me. So yeah, I love this, and I'm just yeah, I'm not only surprised that it exists, but I'm just surprised that I ended up liking it this much, and that it's like a top 3 movie of mine for
Yeah.
the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so like I think you'll notice this for a recurring thing in my top 5 outside of Spencer, that I don't know, I went a very, and I've done that in my past top 5s. I went a very like optimistic, like just personal feel good route with my top 5, and that's why Barb and Star is in there.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see that. Yeah. Nice. Okay. Well, my number 2 is The Tragedy of Macbeth.
Yeah, I saw this
Yeah.
as was your number 2 and on one day, and I was like, oh, nice. I gotta respect that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, again, I am just finding myself more interested in these like Shakespearean and like like King Arthur type stories, like Green Knight and Tragedy
Yeah.
of Macbeth. Like I'm just finding myself at a phase where I'm like getting more into that, and like reading more about just Shakespeare in general. So yeah, I
Did
think
you
I
ever
just
see
see this at the right, I'm just seeing this at the right time. Yeah.
Chimes at Midnight?
No, I
The
haven't.
Wells. That's
Yeah.
like, apparently he was just obsessed with Shakespeare, Orson Welles. And I don't I think that means
Hmm.
that Chimes at Midnight is not his only Shakespeare adaptation, but Chimes at Midnight is a great Shakespeare movie, and like in it, especially Orson Welles is like made to play a Shakespearean character.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
his voice and everything. Yeah, and his built.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I remember I think we talked about it for an episode
Yeah, like a
a
bender a
while
while
ago.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I watched Chimes at midnight, and then I watched The Heartbreak Kid.
Yeah. That was probably it. Yeah, that was the transition.
All right, nice.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
are you
That was-
done with Macbeth?
yep, that was my number 2.
All right. My number 2 is Tick Tick Boom. Um, yeah, I love Tick Tick Boom. One of my favorite numbers that always pops up on my Instagram account is that one where it's at his party at the apartment, and he's like, it's like, this is the life.
Oh yeah,
This is,
yeah.
and then Andrew Garfield's like, he's going like he's naming everyone at the party. He's like Sarah, Georgie, Beamer, Scotty, everyone. He's like, it's like showing his incredible like improv songwriting ability. Like I thought
Yeah.
that was just so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, and it's just numbers like that throughout. Yeah, like this movie's like genuinely funny. Like not like I'm not like trying to like laugh at it necessarily as much as I am other like stuff. Like Tick Tick Boom is genuinely funny. Like there's a lot of like there's like these anti-corporate scenes that I thought were really funny. Yeah, like this, yeah. Yeah. So on
Yeah.
top of like the fact that it's inspirational, great music, and it's like the movie's about like realistic like people. I feel it's also like kind of a comedy at the same time. So, and you know, sticking with the good vibes theme of my top 5, Tick Tick Boom definitely belongs towards the top because makes me feel good, and I'm actually planning on. I really like you've said with we've both said with Inside Llewyn Davis, it's something you just need every now and then. Tick Tick
Hmm.
Boom, I feel like is going to become one of those for me.
Yeah, I forgot about that song. I'm glad you brought that up too. Yeah, that just like little short like song they just made up like right
Yeah,
there.
like the way people, the way musical theater kids hang out at parties,
Yeah,
just
right. Yeah. And it's always that good. Yeah.
yeah.
Um yeah, that was a really cool moment. Um yeah, yeah. So that was your number 2.
Yep.
And I feel like we have the same number 1. Mine's Licorice Pizza.
Yes, me too. This is almost everyone's number 1
Mm-hmm.
this year, which for me is like actually is very gratifying because as a big PTA fan for a while now, I feel like it's not always the case where everyone's like, "Oh yeah, the PTA movie's definitely my favorite of the year.
Yeah.
What an amazing film!" Like it's never like I always feel like it's more so under the radar and like they're like a cult, more of a cult following or
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing. Not like cults, maybe not necessarily cult, but like still, yeah, kind of cult. Yeah, cult. Yeah, cult.
Yeah.
But like this, yeah, Licorice Pizza was one where like everyone who unanimously was like, yes, I really want to see Licorice Pizza, and then when they saw it, they were like, yes, I loved it. That was great.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just I'm very happy with it. It like feels like the world's a little more in balance for that, and I do think this is one of the more one of the most easily the most accessible movies he's ever made.
Yeah.
Where just and that's a big part of it.
Yeah, I also love that the Heim, I forget how it's pronounced,
Yeah,
but
I
I
think it's
love how
Heim because I've heard
Heim
interviews and she says Heim.
Heim I love how the Heim family was the real Heim family
Yeah.
too. Yeah, I thought because there was great moments where when they're arguing and they're having the dinner with her hopefully soon to be boyfriend. Yeah, that was a great scene. But there's so many great scenes in this, and
Yeah, it's definitely one
Yeah.
where you look forward, especially because I've seen it twice. Like you just definitely you look forward to like, oh yes, now it's the Bradley Cooper part, and like, oh
Yeah.
now it's where they like fight, and she's like telling him that he's not cool, and he's like I am very cool, or because he's so he's so funny, like Cooper Hoffman, he's so funny, and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, just it's hard to really just it's definitely I don't know, it's one that I feel like you almost have to do like a revisited episode on because there's so much
Yeah.
scene by scene things to like almost. But yeah, it's hard to just sum it all up, but yeah, it's and especially now that I live in the valley, I just like it's like perfect. Like it's a perfect storm of like, oh, nice licorice pizza, and now I'm living in the valley. Great, because I feel like it's almost like the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for the Valley. Like I feel like
Yeah,
they're
I got
kind of
those
both
feels too.
drawing. Yeah, they're like drawing from the same inspiration in a way of like a place that they're very have a lot of nostalgia for. Yeah, I saw it actually at two big theaters. I saw it first at the Music Box in 70 millimeter. Like early in December, and then I saw it like on New Year's Eve at the New Beverly, Quentin Tarantino's
Wow.
theater, and that was my first time ever at the New Beverly, and so that was pretty awesome.
Nice. That's really cool. Um, I also thought the soundtrack was great in Licorice Pizza too.
Yeah, that's one I've listened to a lot.
Yeah, I've been meaning to. Yeah.
There's that Paul McCartney song to bridge the Beatles Get Back that that with that guitar riff where it goes like da 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 da, and then it's like
Yeah.
get me rolling. I forget what it's called, but
Yeah.
it's right under the soundtrack. I like that. One of my favorite needle drops of that movie.
Yeah. That was I don't know. I just remember watching it and making like a mental note that when we talked about it eventually I would have to bring up the soundtrack because I was really
Yeah,
liking it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's got a really good one.
Yeah, I guess that's Licorice Pizza. I'm
Yeah,
yeah.
that's all. That's the top our top
That's
20
top 20.
films of the year.
Again, I think we had the same number one whatever year Widows came out too. I think
Oh yeah, so a couple years ago, yeah.
that was the top Cinebums pick that year too. But yeah, yeah, good lists. I guess next time we'll be back with the worst.
The worst
That's
movies, yeah.
yes, which is always fun. Yeah, guess I don't have anything else to
Yeah, I guess we're just done.
add. Yeah.